When it comes to cases of unexplained death, there are almost always theories behind them, even if none of them are certain. The case of heavyweight boxer Sonny Liston is no exception. Sonny Liston was a well-known heavyweight boxer during the 1950s and 60s who eventually became champion of the world. Born in Arkansas, USA, he was allegedly abandoned by both his parents at a young age. Alone, he moved to St. Louis in the hope he would find his mother, but instead of the positive life he hoped for, he found himself still alone and tangled up in a life of crime. But the authorities finally caught up with the young Liston after he robbed a diner and a gas station. He was arrested and sent to jail. It was during a 2.5-year stint at the Missouri State Penitentiary where Liston discovered boxing. He had found his niche, making a name for himself whilst boxing in prison, wiping out all competition. When he left prison, he found a new type of family in the shape of the mob. This circle of the mafia family was headed by John Vitale, who employed Liston as a heavy to intimidate people who owed money or refused to do business their way. The mafia saw great potential gain in Sonny Liston as a boxer, and in 1953 he turned professional under the unofficial mob management team of Frankie Carbo and Blinky Palermo. Liston's well-documented boxing career spanned 17 years and is best known for his fights against the likes of Floyd Patterson and Muhammad Ali. But Liston's boxing career is a whole other story. I will be concentrating on his unsolved, untimely death and the theories behind it. In December of 1969, towards the end of his boxing career, Liston was knocked out by a Philadelphia heavyweight by the name of Leotis Martin. In June of 1970, in an attempt to salvage his career, Liston fought Canadian heavyweight champion Chuck Wepner. Liston punished Wepner for 10 rounds and won the fight. 6 months later, Sonny Liston was dead. Sonny Liston's wife Geraldine arrived at their home in Las Vegas on the 5th of January 1971, where she discovered Liston's body lying on the bed. There were no clear injuries such as knife wounds or blunt trauma to immediately suggest foul play. There were needle puncture holes in his arm, and according to some reports, an intravenous needle was found next to his body. There were bags of cocaine found in the kitchen and marijuana found in his pocket. It's thought that Liston had died a week prior to this discovery on December 30th, 1970. Now, Sonny Liston's death is shrouded in mystery, and there are several theories to what actually happened. The official report was that Sonny Liston died of a cardiac arrest brought on by a drug overdose. It was believed by some that he was a heroin addict, but his wife Geraldine Liston and friends who knew him knew he had a phobia of needles and would never have injected himself. However, it's worth considering that if he had taken other drugs earlier that evening, or if he had been drinking heavily, which he was known to do, maybe his phobia was diminished because of this. Maybe he did in fact die from a self-induced overdose, resulting in a cardiac arrest. What makes this scenario difficult to believe is that the autopsy report states that the drug found in Liston's body was not typically enough to kill a man, let alone a man of Liston's stature. To further throw this theory into doubt, Liston's manager Davy Pearl suggested that a brief visit to the hospital 30 days before his death was the reason for the needle marks. Another theory is that Liston committed suicide. Sonny had allegedly suffered from depression following his losses later in his career, along with losing money due to gambling. It's known he had recently lost $10,000 betting on a boxing match only 10 days before the Wepner fight. So it's a possibility that he may have killed himself intentionally by overdosing on heroin, bringing on a heart attack. However, the fact that so little heroin was injected throws this theory into doubt as well. These are the two most commonly believed theories in the Sonny Liston case, but there are others that need to be taken into consideration, especially if, like me, you tend to question everything. On the night of his death, Liston was attending a party at the home of a well-known Las Vegas drug dealer. According to Lem Banker, a professional gambler and friend to Sonny Liston, the police approached Liston, telling him to stay away from the house, which was on the west side of Las Vegas, as the local police enforcement were planning a drug raid in the area. It's possible that the drug dealers killed Liston because they thought he tipped off the police, pointing them in the direction of the drug dealer's house, as it was in fact raided for drugs that very night, shortly after Liston had left. When Geraldine found the body, she didn't raise the alarm for 2 or 3 hours, which led some people to believe that she may have had a hand in Sonny's death, taking her time to clear away any real evidence or planting misleading evidence. Was Geraldine involved with other people? Maybe she had a money-driven motive, working alongside enemies that Liston had made along the way. There was certainly no doubt that he had made many during his crime-ridden life. Whichever theory you believe to be true, I personally think that this next one has the most clout. Now, Liston had 2 brushes with the mob involving fight fixing. The first related to the Muhammad Ali rematch. It's thought that Sonny Liston was owed money by the mob for throwing the fight but never received the cash. As his financial situation grew worse over the years, he began demanding the money he was owed and threatened to go public with the story if they refused to pay up. This could be the first reason for them wanting him dead. The second related to his last fight with Chuck Wepner. According to his unofficial trainer Johnny Tocco, Sonny Liston was approached by gamblers 2 days before his fight with Chuck Wepner, asking Sonny to take a dive in the fight. One of these men was said to be Ash Resnick, Sonny's mob-affiliated employer. Liston refused to throw the fight and went on to beat Wepner, punishing him for 10 rounds. It's strongly believed by many that he was murdered by more than one mob-affiliated gambler for beating Wepner. It's a common theory that they intentionally killed Sonny by getting him so intoxicated through drinking or other drugs that he was incapacitated and unable to defend himself. Maybe Sonny Liston refused to lose to Wepner as revenge for not being paid for throwing the Ali fight. Either way, if this theory is true, they left this formidable man vulnerable to a well-planned killing, made to look like suicide. It's a sad story, and today it still remains uncertain as to what or who killed Sonny Liston. Maybe we'll never know.